welcome to my tutorial series on the in and outs of Blender. My name is John Glander, if you don't know. I'm a current senior at Stockton University in the Digital Studies program. This main tutorial is going to be basically about the basics in and out of Blender to get you from if you have no experience in the 3D modeling world to basics understanding of making a model. I've worked in Blender for about 6 years now. I've also worked in the game development field, mainly pertaining around Roblox Studio and Unity for about 8 years now. More Roblox Studio experience than Unity, but I still have a lot to learn. So that's my journey. Okay, so let's start off with going through the Discord. So this Discord link is going to be in the description of each and every video. So that way, no matter where you are in my series, you always have the link to the Discord if you need help or anything else. It's a pretty basic one. It might change later, but the basic stuff I'm going to show you. So announcements, this is mainly where we're going to see any new videos I upload, any announcements on events I'm hosting, or anything else pertaining to announcements. Resources, this is where currently there's only 2 links in here where we're going to use later to download Blender and also use to download Cura. So if you're also, these links will also be in the description of this video since this is the first video, but I'm assuming you know how to install a program, but I'll show you anyway. General, same with general, show off your work and help. Same thing down here. A lounge, chat, work, what you want to do, meeting room, in case you want to have one-on-one or anything like that, and help channel in case you need more help through voice and more demand. So let's actually get into installing Blender and Cura. So resources, we'll start with Blender. Now I already have Blender installed, so I'm not going to fully do it, but basically you're going to hit download Blender. You don't need to do any of this. Just wait, give it a minute, and it's going to automatically download. I'm going to cancel that because I already have it installed, but you would follow through the steps of downloading that and having it installed. Next is Cura. So back to Discord, the second link. Click the link. It's going to open up a browser to this page. Download for free. Both programs are completely free and easily accessible. So download, same process, download file, install it. Okay, so go ahead and open up Blender. When you open up, you're going to open up to this. There's not going to be anything here. This cube is completely normal. My UI might look different from yours just because I have a few plugins in, and once we get to plugins, we'll cover that, and you can always look that up online of what plugins you might want. So when you open up Blender, there's going to be a basic cube. You can do whatever you want with it, delete it, move it around, whatever you want to do. There's going to be a light. We don't need this light. You can delete that by hitting either the delete key on your keyboard or hitting X, then delete. So let's go over some basic controls of Blender. So if I want to pan around, I would use my mouse with the scroll wheel and press down on it and drag. This is kind of like a pan view. I can turn around like this. Use depth of view. Of course, zooming in and out is zoom on the scroll wheel, which is easy. And then if you do right on the D-pad, it's going to open this menu, which is just other information that we're not really going to use. Right key doesn't do anything. It just do anything. So it selects. It's like a hover over something and it selects it. So again, middle mouse button to move around like this. Zoom in and out. You should also pan left to right by holding Shift and hold down your middle mouse button. So pan left and right. And that's all really. Alright, so over on the left side, you're going to have these buttons. You're mainly going to use move, rotate, and scale, not so much transform. But if you're comfortable using transform, you can. It's basically all those 3 buttons in one. So move, red will always be your X, green will always be your Y, and blue will always be your Z. So remember those axes. Axes, sorry. This orange dot in the middle, that's your origin. Each model, it's always going to stay in the model. You can actually move it if you select the model, right click, set origin, origin to geometry. So that means the origin is going to go to the center of mass of the geometry that you're modeling. Geometry to origin. So sometimes if the origin is in this thing called a 3D cursor, so like this, now the origin's in there. Well, that doesn't make sense because now the origin's not in the middle of my thing, and it's basing the rotation and transformation off the origin, not the box. So let's say I want to fix that. I would again select my model with left click, right click, origin to geometry, or I can do geometry origin, making the model automatically go to where the origin is. This is really useful for if a model you don't know where it is. If it's really small, you can definitely center it somewhere so you can know where it is. But it's mainly pertaining to moving your model to somewhere where it's center and it's not off in the distance, way over there where you can't see it. So again, left click, right click, set origin, origin to geometry, or geometry to origin. Let's just put the geometry back to the center. Cool. In the top left here, you're gonna see object mode. This is basically just a viewing mode. You can't edit anything, you can move stuff around, you can rotate it and scale it, but you can't really do anything with this cube. So let's select it and go into edit mode. So, whoa, some more buttons showed up. Don't get overwhelmed. We're gonna cover that in the next episode. So in this mode, you're gonna see some more options in the top. You're gonna see these. So in edit mode, you're gonna have 3 options on how to select stuff on this model. Let me zoom in here so you can get a closer look. So this first thing is called a vertex select. So a vertex is usually on a corner, on like a joint, basically. It's usually on this cube is going to be in the corners, where it's kind of like this, where I can just, all right, drag it around and move it around. Same thing here. This is called an edge, where it's just the edges of a model. You can select and also move them around and do whatever you want with it. This last one's called face. So it's basically a face of a model. So see how it's covering the whole face of the cube. I can drag it and do whatever I want with it. La 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 la. Cool. So again, the dots are vertex. The line is for edges. And the square is for faces. Let's get out of that for a minute. Back into object mode. Back to I can't edit it. Now, in the top right section of your menu, you're going to have 4 little circles here. Now, this is for viewing your model in different render layers. So, for example, right now we're in a solid mode where it's just gray, there's no color, nothing. It's just a plain model where I can just model stuff. This is usually where you're going to 3D model stuff and make stuff in Blender. So you're not killing your computer trying to render all the textures, the shadows, and lighting. This is called wireframe, where it's just the wire of my cube. This is often good for if you have a image in the back and you want to try to follow a shape. This basic mode where we were is called solid mode. So it's a solid object. It's nothing much. It's the basic of your model. This next one is material preview. So this doesn't really include lighting. It has a default lighting for that, which you can change by hitting the drop down arrow and selecting this circle, and it will change how the environment looks in this mode. This isn't what the program is going to render per se, but the next one is what you're going to see what we model in. So this next one is going to be what you render in. So this is called rendered. This is, of course, what the camera is going to see when it renders. So it's just a black box. We don't have any shadows. Let's say, for example, if I add a light and sun, move it up here, and put the shadow like, yeah, that's fine. So now I can see it's in Blender. So if I go here, let me just up the strength. See how the shadows are now moving? This is basically what is going to render, what you're going to see when you render it. Of course, you're not going to see this line and the dot and all this stuff. You're just going to get the shadows. So those are the 4 modes. So let's get out of this camera. And let's go back into solid and delete this light. Again, delete is what? X and delete. You can also just hit the delete key on your keyboard, which is way faster. Okay, let's move into some more basic controls. So select your model and select G. This will basically be drag your model anywhere you want. You can hold the mouse button to move it on a certain axis if you wish. And when you move it on axis, it's always gonna connect to where your origin is. It's always gonna lock on the origin, no matter where it is. So let's say if sorry, there we go, escape. If you want to get out of that mode after you hit G, just hit escape on your keyboard. And if you mess up, Control Z is gonna be your best friend. In Blender, it's very common for you to make a change to your model. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you like it back to where it was. Control Z is gonna be your best friend. Now remember, Blender doesn't remember everything. It remembers your past 7 moves. So if I move a vertex or an edge or a face 8 times, it's only gonna backtrack 7 times. So don't be discouraged to make mistakes, but always keep that in mind that Blender, you can't just Control Z spam all the way back to, like a week ago's model. So remember that, and also remember that it's always okay to make mistakes. Again, you're learning this program. You're not a pro. You're not. I mean, maybe you're a pro, but that's you. Um, so yeah, Control Z is gonna be your best friend, especially when you're learning and once you know the basics of this program. So same thing with G. That's the move. Rotate, same thing. It's gonna rotate around the origin. You hit R on your keyboard. Click to finish the rotation, and escape if you want to get out of the rotate mode. Then also you can hit Control Z to move back to where it's perfectly square. Next one is going to be S. So hit S on your keyboard. It's going to scale it. So again, I'm changing the scale of this cube. Left click to confirm the transformation. And there you go. Now it's scaled. Let's put it back to the default. There we go. Z. So again, like I said, X is to delete. I'm going to delete this cube. So X is to delete. So you're going to hit X and delete. Now you can also hit the delete key on your keyboard, like I've said, to delete it instantly. So again, X, delete, deletes the model. Now it's gone. Well, I don't want that to happen. I can just hit Control Z. Well, what if I want to add a second cube in here? I'm going to go to the top left, add mesh. There's going to be tons of options. So that's how you add meshes. Now you can always add other stuff, so like a curve, which we can cover in another episode, surfaces, and other stuff, along with a bunch of other stuff like armatures for your rigs, images like reference, background, and mesh plane, lighting, camera, speaker, etc. Basically, it's your add whatever you want into the space. Okay, now that we understand the basic controls and some basic stuff of making something in Blender and moving our model around, let's actually make something. So let's make a glass bottle. So go into Google, find a bottle you want to make. Once you have your image, you're going to go to Add, Image, Reference, and then find your image. Mine is bottle PNG, and there it is. So the image also is going to have an origin. This is going to go to the 3D cursor. I moved mine, so yours might be still in the center. So let's line it up with the center. Cool. Now, I don't want my bottle to be a cube, so let's delete that by hitting X, good, and delete. Cool. So now we got a clear space with just a 2D image that is flat. Doesn't matter if it's not perfectly center, it's all right. We're going to delete it later. So let's actually put it in a cylinder. So you're going to go up here, add, mesh. And we're going to use a cylinder. So now we have a cylinder. Move that to line up with your bottle. Let's have it, not that. You don't want to small in the X because that's going to squish it. We want to use this outer circle to completely scale it uniformly. Perfect. Looks good to me. So, now glass bottles are usually hollow. So how would we make this model hollow? I'm going to go up here, select your model, edit mode. Remember this is called? Face, good. You're gonna select this one. You're just gonna select the bottom one. I recommend hitting, if you hit any of these axes in the top right, it will automatically change your camera to that axis. So let's hit Z, so we're looking at a top down menu. And you're gonna hit E. This is basically extrusion. If I click, for example, and scale it, now it's gonna look like this. We don't want that. So we're gonna Control Z twice to get it back to its normal shape. Z again. Now hit E and hold Control. This basically makes it so you're not moving it, and when you do move it, it's gonna move on these little cues. So it's gonna be exact. We're gonna not move it at all, actually, still holding Control, and left click. Oh, but it didn't do anything. Well, it did. We're gonna go again to Z, make it small. See, now we have a rim around our bottle. You can fix this. We're gonna fix that in a bit. Now, let's make it a little skinnier. Oop, that's not what I want. There we go. That looks about the thickness. Oh, wait, why is it like that? So once you have this, you're going to delete. So once you extrude, click off the face, and let's realign our cylinder. So that way it is flush and not angled like this. There we go. That looks good. Cool. So you're going to delete this, the inside, delete. You don't really matter with this. No one's really going to be seeing it. It's just a basic model. So hit the, select, still in edit mode, select the face. And because I don't want to go and click each one of these, but I'm clicking each one and it's not remembering the last one. So you're going to select your first face, hold shift, and now it's going to allow you to select more faces to do what you wish. Well, that's a lot of faces I don't feel like selecting. So I'm about halfway around the cylinder at this point. And the last one I selected is here. Instead of holding shift, I'm going to hold control and select this face. See how the program automatically knew to finish that path? That's what we want. So shift is select individual faces. Control is to make a path to select faces. So Control Z. Let's move this bottom one down to where it starts to become angled. Around there. Again, select your face. Hold down Control. And select where you want. Again, using scroll wheel to move your camera around so you can get a better view. Also using shift and middle mouse button to pan up and down, and selecting negative Y or whatever axis you're facing to get a perfect front on view. Let's move it up here. Cool. Let's make this little lip part. So how would I do this? Again, you would hit E, hold down Control, go to Scale, and use the outer ring, the outer white ring, to bring it out. Let's say about there looks good. Now, once we have this, we're going to have E to extrude and move it out, holding Control as it's on a set scale. About there. Well, it's not like at the top, so let's manually drag it. Cool, that looks about right. Let's do the top view. Cool, that looks good. So again, coming back down here, select all of these using Control and select. Back to the front facing view. And again, using our E to extrude. Going back to scale, make this wider. So it looks like a triangle. Okay, yours might look, mine looks a bit weird, but you get the point. Again, I'm going to keep using extrude to follow the outline of this bottle. Doesn't be perfect, it's your model. Mine has a rounded base, so I'm going to give it a little bit of circle around the bottom, and there we go. Yeah, that looks about good. Cool. Now there's a hole in the bottom of my bottle. That's not good. Now look, it's going to follow the bottom. So instead of face, let's hide this image just so I'm not selecting it. We're going to go to edge select, select one edge, and again, using control to select each edge. Now, how am I going to keep extruding until it closes? That's not going to look good. So instead, we're going to press F. This automatically fills where you've selected. Cool. Now we have a bottle. Mine's a little flat because I messed up, but it's fine. You get the point. This is just basic tools. So let's say I go back into the object mode and wait a minute, all these faces look awful. This doesn't look smooth at all. So we're going to fix that. Left click your model, right click, and shade to auto smooth. See how much smoother that looks now? So now let's say I want to save this model. I'm going to select it, go up to File, Save As, and save wherever you want. Well, that's just saving the Blender file. What if I want to export this model into Cura or whatever other program? You're going to go again to File, Export. Now, a bunch of these are going to be files you want to export it as. So let's say, for example, I want to 3D print this bottle. I'm going to save it in an STL as that is the best file to 3D print a model in. STL, and then this is very important. Unless you want to export everything as a solid model, don't select only. Once you select this, it will only be what you're selecting in the world. So again, export XDL. I'm going to save it to my project file, and I'm going to name it bottle, and then hit export. Down here you can see exported successfully. This episode mainly covered basic modeling, basic tools, and installing the programs you will need. I highly recommend using a desktop computer compared to a laptop. If you are using a laptop, I highly recommend buying a mouse. It'll make your life a lot easier. The next episode, we're going to start working on a new project and continuing the basic controls and tools of Blender. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. All the links for Blender, Cura, and our Discord will be in the description of this video. And I'll always be checking out Discord for if you need help, guidance, or if you just want to show me your model. Thank you for watching this first episode, and I hope you continue to follow your 3D printing journey.